Hello, I'm Natalie, and I am here to awaken the magic, to be a reminder of the magic. If you're new to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome, 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 or welcome back. I'm here to illuminate your path back to magic, to stop suppressing your divine gifts, to assist you in launching your unique mission. These are the primordial calls to the indigos, the starseeds, the wanderers, the warriors, protectors, the guardians of today, to help humanity remember how to take back our power. That is why I exist. In this video, here's what we're going to go over. There has been an unprecedented amount of lies in this realm. Lies, manipulations, and we've really faced thousands and thousands of years of just so much trauma. What I want to talk about today is a brilliant man who I am actually learning under to become a master herbalist. His name is Dr. Terry Willard, and we are going to discover some of the key foundations of true mind-body harmony, which I actually am really digging and really bringing myself into as my main foundational place to work from. And at the end of the day, it's called vibrational medicine. Okay, so let's kick things off with a little more insights. So why would I become a master herbalist? Well, because it's not an easy road, and it's the time it takes to learn all the things. It's obviously the rest of my existence on this planet. So if I'm in my mid-40s, as I am, I have another 50 plus years of learning. I'm excited. And yes, I'm going to live for over 100 years. So, today I really wanted to talk about this because what we've been dealing with is a system. This is called the patriarchy. This is a fake matrix. Now, it was purposely created by evil beings. And if you want to go watch another video that I did, which is a call from a light warrior about uniting around a foundation and how we can help ourselves start to break away. And it really starts by just really simply saying, no, it's that easy. So the patriarchy isn't just about females not being equal to males. That's a piece of it. It's really a system that's focused on separation and control. The separation from self or your soul, the separation from others, separation from this concept that there is a holy trinity. There is a divine masculine, a divine feminine, and a God source, energy, primeval creator, primordial mind. There's a lot of names, but it's a trinity, the Holy Mother and the Holy Father. And it's also a separation from the spirit of the earth. This is really on top of the whole concept that they've eradicated the female embodiment of the sacred divine feminine energy. It's further caused complete chaos. It's technically like we all live in this broken home without a mother energy, that anyone can embody. It doesn't matter, male, female, doesn't matter. And we're just living in this cruel, abusive environment. And this just keeps causing trauma and more trauma and more trauma. So really, it's stripped consciousness. And so now what we are seeing is a total crumbling of that old system. And so while basically we're in a healing crisis, that's what this truly is. It's called a Herxheimer reaction. What happens when you when you're going on a healing journey and you hit this point and you actually start to hit some detoxing, or when you're detoxing and you get really weird rashes or boils on the skin, things like this, you're in a little bit of a healing crisis. Well, Gaia, Pachamama, Mother Earth, the spirit of Earth, is going through a healing crisis. And we are as well. That is why us healing is one of the most critical things that we can do. And to me, from my lens, vibrational medicine is the medicine of the future. It's just as I would love to say that master herbalists and those of the same healing ilk are the doctors of the future. That is my hope, that is my desire, and actually I know that that will be so. Here's the really, really big essence to this. I see a better way. I started my 2 companies with this idea, with a concept that has evolved from the beginning in 2016 to today. It's really that I see a path where all beings, large and small, can thrive. And so all of this work in the Disrupt Now programs and the Disrupt Now podcast, Team Goo, it's really about bringing guidance to stop suppressing the divine gifts that are in, because those are the moments of reclaiming power. And it really is allowing all who feel called, you must be called, you must feel that call, to serve as the pioneers in this massive paradigm shift of consciousness. And so we actually step in as guardian protectors. It's really about being the warrior of today, which is very different from what we know as warrior from the future, right? Warrior from the past. It doesn't matter. It's actually an eternal now. There is no time. There is no linear time. So it can be past, future, present. It really doesn't matter. Dr. Terry Willard is this brilliant man who I'm mentoring under in his school that he founded and the guides that he chose to teach as well. I love what he brings 40 years at this point to this whole healing, natural healing concept, but it's also the places that he's gone. He lived in a teepee, for example, with the native tribes, and he truly lived an indigenous life. And to me, that completely tells the story of that we can actually thrive by living in harmony with all things. What we see today is just such a huge turn away from what's natural and organic. And all of this AI crap and all of this BS that people are getting sucked into, all I have to say is choose wisely, my friends, because not what you do. But what he talks about is the fact that many cultures, indigenous and otherwise, mostly looking at more tribal societies, integrate emotional education into their daily life, which can take the form of storytelling, which I actually started a storytelling series, rituals and rites like coming of age ceremonies, activities that are really necessary for building tight-knit groups, like really tight-knit, that isn't based on superficial BS. And to become whole, productive members of society, we also need an emotional education. In our society, we seem to bypass this process and reward left brain achievements exclusively. Yeah. So that is also part of patriarchy, by the way. The patriarchy means that it's separating us from natural rhythms, organic cycles, of which even this kind of celebration and coming together, which was done minimally at very key points in the year. The wheel of the year, we're coming up on the fall equinox. The wheel of the year is actually how pagans and anyone that lived in harmony with all things, divine and of the earth, celebrated. And so there wasn't constant celebrations every Thursday and Friday night. They weren't going out and getting drunk. Like, this isn't how people lived, right? So we get pulled into all this insanity because, well, it's a patriarchy, and it feels like, I mean, when you are stripped from your from a mothering energy and shoved into an abusive situation, well, of course, we shut down. So how do we reclaim that power? That is the journey that I want to take people on. That's what I exist for in this incarnation. And by the way, I've remembered many of my incarnations, which are very key points along the timeline of humanity. And it's always been to come in and try to infuse the divine feminine and show up as a leader. A leader in this new way means you lead by example. You do what you say that you do. That's pretty simple. It's not like you completely manipulate and control. That is not leadership, right? Everything's inverted. Everything. Seriously, everything. I could go on for days on just that topic alone. So, let's talk about this vibrational medicine aspect. Now, my focus is going to be highly sensitive persons, empathic persons, which you can be both or either or. And often, the empath is always going to be a hypersensitive. Hypersensitive isn't always going to be an empath. Now, an empath, so I think that I'll do another video on that another day because there's a lot to really dig into on that specific topic. But an empath can so what we do is we actually feel the core emotion of somebody. So if somebody's sitting there going, yes, I'm great. How are you? Oh, yes, everything is awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, everything's great there. In that whole entire scenario, I would be looking at the person saying, liar. And I would be able to sit to actually feel their emotion of massive anger, grief, or whatever that underlying emotion is. And then, so this makes it very interesting because you are always reading the truth. And people, by the way, don't want you to know the truth most of the time, but we know it anyway. So what I did in my younger days is I spoke that truth to people who did not want to hear it. And it sort of got me in trouble. But I've learned. I'm in my mid-40s now. Now I try to just shut my mouth, though it's kind of hard sometimes. But this is what makes us really great healers, because we can know the truth and we can say, look, I actually can feel that isn't the truth, and we're creating a sacred safe space here. It's a healing container, a medicine container. Please tell me the truth. And this allows a person to soften. So not only can empaths read that underlying truth, but most of the time, empaths are extremely psychic. And there's a lot of ways that shows up, and that's just an innate gift. And again, all humans are psychic. All humans have the capability. It's just that with empaths, they're born that way. And so from the get-go, those gifts are ignited in whatever unique way for that person, and they don't even have to try. The difficult part for those of us that weren't born into environments that knew that, right, we get to explore that for ourselves, which is actually extremely crazy. So I'm going to focus on the highly sensitive people, the HSP, and empaths, because I am that. And when we're going through healing, there are some big things that we need to be aware of. So truly, the overarching issue is chi stagnation. Chi, prana, ki, there's all these words for the same thing, life force, vital life force. When there's a stagnation in given respective areas of the subtle bodies as well as what we call physical, which is just a manifestation of those energies, it actually creates inflammation. So stagnation causes inflammation, and this is where you can see a lot of issues arise. And sometimes these things are always living underneath, but people don't know. We have the beautiful possibility to feel into these stagnations, but here's the underlying issue. When we live in a realm, and we do, that has been poisoned and is being continuously poisoned, those identifiers, those things, the alarms that go off inside of us are getting shut down. And there's one specific thing called glyphosate that is actually doing that. Worse than many other of the poisons. But you have the air being poisoned, you have the water, you have food. So this makes it pretty difficult. I think pretty difficult is an understatement. Okay, let's go into the theory of vibrational medicine. And again, this is nothing new. This book alone was written many decades ago. This is not new. I actually have another book, The Secret Life of Plants. There are studies in here going back 200 years that were stifled by who? I bet you don't know. Do you know? Do you? Yeah, the U.S. government. Does this surprise you? Yeah, the Patent Office. Ooh, there's an interesting little thing. If you want to go down some deep rabbit holes, I would say go there. Okay, getting back to our vibrational medicine. Energetic dimensions of vibrational medicine. Magnetic fields can jumpstart the healing process in bone repair and move stalled healing energy, even if the injury or dis-ease in the body dates back many years, like 40 years. True. So, magnetic field therapy or electrical and magnetic field therapy is a way to speed up the healing process. So what this actually does, because we are living liquid crystals. Yes, we are basically like living liquid crystals, like snowflakes are living liquid crystals. So if we think of us in that term, we can actually see that we are in a healthy state of being. We are basically structured water inside. And when we have unstructured water, that is when breakdowns in the body start happening. Cells, as we will know, we literally are a universe. We are a universe. Our cells do not stand on little islands doing little individual functions. So I find it really intriguing that our medical system treats everything separately. And we wonder how we're in trouble. Well, since cells are not individual islands unto themselves, they are all interconnected. What does that mean? That means we are interconnected with every living being on this planet. Whether it's a tree, whether it's a tiny little herb, whether it's an animal, whether it's an insect, whether it's another human that we're living with, or humans that we just exist with on this what we call world, we are all interconnected. So let's really think about that for a minute. Now, if we are that interconnected, are we not energetically completely entangled? If we're entangled, does that not show that we are one? Of course, we are one. We are one as a moving, living, liquid crystal of consciousness. And that is everything, including the living being that I call Gaia, the earth, the spirit, the consciousness, the beautiful love light entity that is holding us to allow us to have this experience. And so if that is the case, well, isn't the nature of medicine supposed to be built around that idea and concept? Too bad it's not, right? We can change that by getting to the core of the truth. So again, this book is not new. There's nothing new about this concept at all. Thousands and thousands of years of teachings. If you go into Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, if you go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and I say it goes way, this is primordial information, that means that any concepts that are brought up, it's why are we having to remember it? Well, because it was stifled and it was suppressed on purpose. So we are reclaiming our power just by speaking these words into existence. So crystalline arrays in cells. Yes, we are crystalline. Yes, this is true. When we think of crystals, we usually conceptualize them as hard, solid material like diamonds or quartz. Crystalline arrangements are very common in living systems and are found throughout the body. Living crystals are composed of long, thin, pliable molecules and are quite soft and flexible. In fact, living crystals are almost liquid, and when compressed and stretched, they generate electric fields. These very small electric field generators convey information about the movement, as well as contribute to the overall electromagnetic field surrounding the body. We are living liquid crystals. So the essence of vibrational medicine is this. The slightest movement of the body's living crystals can similarly, tune into different frequencies and vibratory levels. The sensitivity is highly relevant for hands-on energetic or movement therapies and the remedies that are used in vibrational medicine. Every stretch, massage, movement will change how a living crystal attunes to an aspect of the whole being. This is why Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, hands-on therapies, rolfing, all of these elements play a role in tuning us into clearer perception of our emotional and mental life. This also explains the acupuncture, meridians, and homeopathic and botanical medicine, because all of these aspects work in an energetic nature. Because these medicinal substances all have their own living crystal structure, they're sending out and receiving specific frequencies as well. If a botanical, for example, milk thistle, let's just say, because that is one of the best herbs for detoxing your liver, if a botanical has a specific frequency for the liver, it can communicate with all parts along the liver acupuncture meridian because they are all tuned to the same quote-unquote radio station. This is what is meant when the old Chinese masters say, an herb enters the liver meridian. So, by the way, again, in this book, there's vibrational medicine therapies that were created that actually in the early, this is going back into the 1800s, that were present and readily available to the people. But then they got taken away because they worked. Yeah. Okay, so this gets me to the core of where I'm really focusing in and helping people that resonate with my work is we're working with an energetic system that includes working with a physical manifestation, which is basically frozen. It's again the snowflake concept. It's like frozen molecules. Right? They're vibrating at a much slower rate that, like, to form this physicalness, it's vibrating at a slower rate than, for example, steam. Those molecules are vibrating at such a rapid speed that it is transparent. So if we really think about this is actually, those forms are actually how our bodies transition when we leave this form. We vibrate at different speeds. Now, these chakra systems, these are not little spiritual 101 things. People always, I often will catch some wind of like, there's a specific I forgot what it was, like a course or something that was talking about how it was a spiritual course, and how they said something like, we're not going to learn about chakras because that's like spiritual 101. Well, I disagree. Chakras, there are many energetic vortexes, stargates in our bodies, and people learn about them, but I dare say that most don't deeply work with those centers. And this is the work that we are being called to do right now in a deeper way than ever before, because we are in a massive paradigm consciousness shift. These chakra systems, the meridians, the energy lines within the body, support all the cells and all of the molecules, all of the organs, all of the atoms, everything in what we call the body, and they can enhance or inhibit the flow of life. So the shifts in that flow are affected by all kinds of things, being emotional, mental, or physical, and then what we could also call as spiritual, because there's obviously a huge confusion around what spiritual work is. This does not mean religion. This means going within to actually use your connections into divine source. And we have to be very careful of the divine sources, because again, if you're living in fear of the divine source in which you want to connect into, what many say God, and you're fearing that is causing a state of vibratory fear all throughout your body. Now, if you believe divine, Holy Trinity, however you look at this, but if you believe, we have the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and a God source, primeval, prime creator. If you see that as all love light in magnificent beauty that loves and holds us, you're sending love throughout your body. So you're already, as a living liquid crystal, you're going to be vibrating in a higher frequency. So even that spiritual aspect is extremely important if we look at it in the right way. So let's get to this emotions part, because this is a really big core of vibration medicine. The quality of our relationships matters. And we have to think about it as the flow of energy. And consciousness itself is not a byproduct of physical and biochemical mechanisms. It plays a primary role in health and wellness. So consciousness plays a role in health and illness. So if we're looking for a piece, if we're looking at a symptom, that is not the problem. That's not the problem. There's something deeper going on in the body. What if we look at this in a very different light and start saying, well, people are being poisoned to the nth degree, and many don't know it or are ignoring it, either or both. And what does that cause in the body? Well, it breaks down the electrical communication within our bodies with all things. What happens when that happens is stagnation. What happens when stagnation happens? The chi, vital force energy, drops. What happens when that happens? What we call dis-ease in the body, or illness. And so we have to look at how our bodies within are able to manage all of this environmental stress and poison, and then what we take inside of our bodies, and how our body itself can work with that and move it through. And if there is any issues, or if you're hypersensitive, these things are going to jam up the communication signals in all ways. And therefore, your living liquid crystal is going to start not really be vibrant and living so well, and not so crystally. It's going to start to stagnate and go slower, and feel we can kind of feel that breaking down of energy, right? So vibrational medicine is extremely vital to our future in all ways. So I would like to share this is how we need to start seeing our bodies, because this is an energetic way to see exactly what we're dealing with here. Not only are we working with an array of colors, because colors have vibrations, colors have frequencies, frequencies are vibrations, and how all of our subtle bodies, how they interact with our primary energy centers, and how we're drawing in energy and how we're giving back energy. Are we creating an infinite loop of vital energy that's positive and uplifting and feels good, or are we starting to cause a stagnation in our bodies? This is something that's extremely important to look at, because again, these chakra systems, and that energetic system, this is not spiritual 101. This is advanced medicine. And we have to remember that from my lens and from the way I work, because I believe that we're part of something so much bigger, that if we can just learn these fundamental truths, then we can truly become a brotherhood and sisterhood of soul families. And especially the indigos and the starseeds and the wanderers and the warriors, the protectors, we can actually step up in a different way and really assist humanity. And at this end of a cycle, we can help bring through our gifts, bring through our wisdom in unique ways. And it's really time to make this happen once and for all, so that we can break free of this falsities, the lies, the corruptions, and all of the things that have transpired in this very broken, horrible system they created, they being the evil ones. Now, what Dr. Terry Willard says is the answer to my mystery: why do some of my healthiest patients start manifesting some of the most difficult health problems? These are the empaths, these are the HSPs, the highly sensitive persons. It's because they have such strong physical bodies that we often rely on our physical body to pull ourselves through the events and experiences in life. We looked for physical solutions and kind of buried emotional issues, or even if we were working on emotional issues, we went more into physical solutions. For me, this was running for many, many years. And what happens is these emotional issues in the muscles and the astral body start to get congested. So then there's that flow of vital energy from these areas stagnates. So most of these are highly sensitive people, and then that congestion, when really wasn't noticed, or in this world, it's hard to see what vital thriving is anymore. And so there's one tiny thing that can happen that is like the as the saying goes, the straw that broke the camel's back. It can be the tiniest of things that we're like, oh my God, what happened? Well, it wasn't that thing. It was just that final thing that really ignited all this other stuff that has been like piling up in the body the whole time. And, many of us that are avatars that came in to assist in this time, what happened is we got really inverted in the patriarchal system. Many of us, females, we take on toxic masculine energy. We actually become that. I know that I did. So that's what happens. Our sacred energies, the Holy Mother and the Holy Father, the divine feminine, divine masculine, the divine feminine, those energies get distorted in our own bodies. And when the sacred masculine and feminine energies in our bodies are out of harmony, and when we start moving into one, like the toxic masculinity, any gender can have a toxic masculine energy about them. I became that way because that's what I was surrounded with in my corporate world. Now, when I stepped out in 2016, I had a whole lot of shit that I had to unwind and get out of my body. So here I am 8 years later, and I am working still to get all of those energies out of my body because, again, to reharmonize, to reconstruct, right, we need to balance. Now, when I really started to harmonize in the masculine and feminine energy, because I've always had a very, before the corporate, I was balanced. Then after corporate, I was imbalanced, and now my energies are balanced again. And now what I'm trying to do is still detox and heal and really work with the fact that when you're an empath, you're taking on all the energies around you, so you have to protect your energy fields. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that, including working with herbal medicine, with botanicals, with flower essences and things of this nature. So with all that said, I would like to end on a beautiful quote from The Secret Life of Plants. This is on page 315 if you have this book, or if you're going to get this book and you're curious where this lives. This was said by Alec McInnes, a Scotsman, and he was a very independent researcher in all kinds of things in that time. What he said is very, very telling. If we deliberately cause suffering and dis-ease in other lives, we increase our own suffering and disease. All creation is affected by the dis-ease inflicted on laboratory animals and in all things. All creation is tormented through the ghastly agonies that happen and that is inflicted on helpless creatures. And I'm kind of skipping over because it's a really long thing, and this is true. And so that is why guardian protectors are needed, to protect the innocent, to protect the helpless, to protect those without a voice. Any relief of illness supposed to be removed by knowledge gained at the expense of such agonies will be paid for many times over in increased suffering in some part of the whole. All creation suffers when plants in their millions are burnt by chemical weed killers. We have to stop this. Just as every created thing takes a knock for every victim of war or every inmate tortured in a concentration camp or whatever has happened, every created thing takes a knock when a rabbit dies of human-induced myxomatosis, or a plant dies in agony, deliberately diseased with toxic chemicals. Why? All of life is one. There is no exception. McInnes, you're right. And so, warriors of today, you are needed. So thank you for joining me in this video. Please like, please subscribe if you would like to catch my next video. I upload every Wednesday, and I do live events at the end of every month on Saturdays. Please go below in the comments. I have about tapping into magic and mystery, learning to let go and heal. Learning to let go and heal is what all of us, every single one of us, is being required to do in more ways than ever before. And we need to realize we are truly one with everything. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.